Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Everyone's here. Most everyone. Welcome, everyone.
Every podcast one.
Hold on.
All right. We're just going to get right to it. Updates. Lots of stuff going on in the world. Ashley, how's life?
Oh, whoa, that fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Life is good.
So we're not doing the breakdown first? Like,
No,
of
we got to
what's
get,
coming up?
I'm going to just make that all part of me. All part
Okay.
of like when it's my turn, I'm just going to go because I'm
All
going to do
about you.
shout outs then as well.
I got you. All right. Sorry, Ashley.
Hey, yikes. I was put on the spot anyways. Now I've recovered. We're good. Life is good. I am still on my 2 days of strength, 3 days of yoga. But I
Did you
also
put my name out there?
Is that Yoga Joe programmed for you?
no.
So yoga
It's
is just
yoga.
kind of laying around with like occasional stretching. I just kind of bend over, touch my toes, and then call it good. So that
With a
sounds good.
bandana on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I thought I was like putting joke and yoga together, yoga, but it's okay. Yeah,
Joke,
no,
Same.
joke yoga, but power yoga is no joke. Anyways, it really isn't. I'm still sore from it, but I can do 2 days of power or like of fast flow yoga, and then I do have to have 1 day of restorative yoga, and I haven't done that yet, so we'll see. I'm actually supposed to do that this afternoon, so we'll see how that goes. And I bet it's like more mindfulness, more like meditation. I've never really done it, so we'll see. Oh, and just solo parenting ops for 2 weeks. So yeah, Scott's gone to Luke to fly. The jets here have been having some issues and weather stuff, and so the guys really aren't flying as much as they need to. So they're kind of farming them out everywhere. Like, hey, you want to go to Vermont and fly? Hey, you want to go to Vegas and fly? You want to go to Utah and fly? And Phoenix is another F-35 base, also a training base. So he's going to be out there for 2 weeks, and I think he gets to fly every day. So he's pretty happy.
That's
But-
awesome.
Isn't
Yeah,
Florida like
for
the
him.
only state not having crap
him,
weather
yeah.
right now?
It's raining. It's not snowing, but also if there's like cloud cover or fog, they can't fly with like ceiling limitations, like how low the clouds are. Also, lightning. I always laugh. You know, the whole U.S. Air Force song. It's like nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force, and I'm always like, but lightning within 5 always stops U.S. Air Force.
Mhm.
So there's that.
Yep.
And NyQuil.
And NyQuil. Anyways, so yep, that's me. Okay, Joe, your turn.
Oh, I don't have much with training because I'm still only going to the gym once a week.
Oh yeah, you're boycotting fitness because they're making you wear a mask. And
Still boycotting. I don't like
nobody-
swallowing my
you're-
mask.
You're only hurting yourself. It's
No,
the
I'm
weirdest
fine.
protest.
No, I'm still getting some things in. You know, I still have I still get most of the workouts in. I'll do my heavy days, my barbell days there. So I still go once a week and get that stuff in. So this past week this week I went and did most of the barbell stuff and things that are easier to do with equipment for deload week. And then most of the other stuff I can kind of do here with bands or vests or whatever else I got, rings, and then running. We threw in a ruck too. So, you know, just doing my thing. I'm just gonna throw out some food stuff because there's training is just training right now. And I'm not doing what I'm supposed to according to some, but food. So I mentioned weeks ago that I got Liz some baking books. How can this be gluten-free? So she's been, we've just been bored being at home. So she's been baking a ton. and she accidentally made some muffins that produce 0 crumbs, and I thought those were awesome because they're very spongy. So that was really nice. They taste really good.
Great.
It's really random.
What?
I know. You'd think it's a weird thing, but whenever you eat muffins, you get crumbs everywhere. But these don't produce any. It's just a happy accident with baking. It's just weird. I don't know.
This is one of the best updates you've given in a long
Yeah,
time.
I don't.
And then I will
eat
say
a lot of
something.
muffins. So.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever.
And then what I made over the weekend, so I'm just going to throw in some of the stuff that I'm making too, because of ideas for other people want to do, is I took some of the bone broth that I make from home. And because we're doing macros and just because of nutrition wise too, anyway, I made slight flex.
Don't ask what bones he's using though. Just move on.
Yeah. I made I just called it a carb soup because we make like a base and then you just put whatever protein you want in it. So I cooked sweet potato and a can of pumpkin and some basil from our garden and some garlic in my bone broth, and then I pureed it, and now I just use that as my base for food and just throw some vegetables and some meat in it. Good to go.
Pumpkin, huh?
So,
Hashtag basic.
no, it's not pumpkin spice. Get out of here. All right, just no. It's not pumpkin spice. It's actual pumpkin from a can.
From a
From a
can.
can.
The real pumpkin.
It took us 2 months to find even that here.
I was gonna ask where you found pumpkin.
I was going to ask how you have
Bahrain.
a garden, but I forgot the weather is mild currently.
Right now,
You got like a
everything
month,
grows.
right?
Yeah. And it's actually kind of funny because we go on walks and there's a ginormous bush of basil. And so we just walk along, and we were going over to our friends and we were just like, hey, they want some basil. Cool. We're just going to pick this root out of the ground and this whole long thing of basil. And we're just going to take it over because it's our neighborhood basil bush.
So you don't have a garden, you're just stealing from somebody?
No, we actually have basil in our backyard too.
Oh, okay. Got
But
it.
I did steal that. But no, it's community.
They're fine.
Guess
We have
Sorry's
something like that
looking
here.
for
I
you.
think we have like basil and rosemary, a couple other things that get picked and thrown into food around here.
Yeah, it's great. That's what I got. So, food. Kyle, how can you?
So
bounce
I
us
got
back?
I got some crap for my coffee making abilities. So I picked myself up a French press.
Woohoo!
So I'm French pressing my coffee now. So I'm no longer abusing my coffee grounds.
Every day's press day.
How is it? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I really like it. I mean, it's still really good.
Is it better than Keurig?
I think so. There's not as much stuff in
Water?
the bottom.
Yeah, I was like, it's a little more potent.
Yeah, it's definitely
You-
stronger.
You let it plume.
Keurig to me is like a
It's like, I don't know what that means.
a coffee, like a tea flavored coffee. It's like a tea that has coffee flavor.
It's water flavored. No, coffee flavored water. There you go.
Oh, okay.
There you go. That works too.
I got you.
I don't mean
Yeah.
to trigger anyone.
We just offended so many people.
A bunch of people. If Hannah ever, which Hannah doesn't listen to this because she doesn't want to hear
Don't
me
need to
talking.
worry. Yeah.
Yeah, she uses the Keurig all the time, and she does like 2 to 3 vessels a day. So
That's like 1 cup of coffee.
Like,
So
are we talking each cup is a vessel, or like she fills up a vessel with a couple of those?
it's like a full coffee mug of coffee.
Okay.
well,
every-
as full as a Keurig can make a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
They can make
All
a full cup.
all eight ounces
There's
of
3
it.
settings on it. Like you can
3 cents.
like you can do a little bit or a medium amount or fill the thing up.
Or just
My
Yeah.
So
gosh.
somewhat watery, medium
Yeah.
watery, and super watery.
hashtag
There
not
you
a sponsor for Keurig.
Right.
Definitely.
No, I'm like hating on it. Like
I
you're the
feel like
worst
I'm still
sponsor
getting
ever.
crap, even though like I upgraded.
A lot of
I'm still
airtime,
getting crap.
though. A lot of airtime.
Yeah.
right.
$1 million minute here.
That's all I got. Jared, go for it.
Okay, I'll get into the start of the show like I should have done at the beginning, but I want to skip it to move things around and not be so, regimented. But the science that we cover today is, does strength before hypertrophy mean more muscle mass? And the topic is best advice that we have ever received in a fitness capacity, and then the workout is Sally's revenge. And we're going to continue on with our Garage Gym Athlete shout outs. Shout out to David Chambliss. He's doing the Murph project right now. So, once a week, but he also has coming up the Army Division Best Warrior competition at the end of February. So that one's right around the corner when this publishes. Will be right at the end of February. So David, I hope you crush it, man. You've been a part of the community for a long time, and I hope that you do well. So there's the shout out to David doing awesome stuff.
Nice. You
So
go, David.
Yeah. I looked it up. I'm not 100% sure what the Best Warrior competition is, but if I have it pulled up correctly, they complete an Army combat fitness test, a 12-mile foot march, and rifle qualification, and some other stuff. So sounds cool. Sounds like a good mix of events and everything. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, my updates. Snow broke Texas, and I live in Texas, so I've been experiencing that. It's been pretty crazy. Got down to -4 here. And that's the coldest I've ever been in the state of Texas. And this is for all my northern friends who don't understand things. They're like, oh, it snowed and you're such a baby. It's like, no, dude. Like, there's no infrastructure in Texas for -4 degrees. And so we don't have salt trucks. Our plumbing is not set up for it. So I literally have friends whose houses are flooded right now. We have massive car accidents. Lots of people die. Like, it's a very tragic event. So it's not really like this, oh, you guys can't handle some cold. Like, it's a pretty big deal. And it has been a big deal. We've had a lot of people, friends, family affected by it. And it's still going on right now. Luckily, we had to move this podcast because they were doing rolling power outages and stuff. And I wasn't going to be able to record. So we moved it. Luckily, everything's good now. But man, it has been crazy. We've been pretty fortunate overall, but it has been crazy in my area of Texas. One thing I learned though, being a garage gym athlete in the cold,
yikes,
because I have an uninsulated detached garage, it just takes all the fun out of fitness.
Yep.
Like, I'll still do it. It's fine, but I actually really enjoy working out. It's never a thing for me where I'm like, oh man, I got to go get my workout. And that's something I enjoy to do each and every single day. But the cold kind of takes that away from me. I'm kind of like, it becomes this thing where I'm like, well, this is going to be a little bit crappy. And I also learned attempting a zone 2 run on a true form is like the bearings freeze or something. A true form almost doesn't work at -4 degrees. And so anyone who's thinking about the true form, just throwing it in a cold garage, I had to run like 2 miles for a warm up just to get it back, like the friction back to the true form moving like how it should be moving. And it was really funny because I was running I was like a 9-minute mile, maybe even slower. And I was in zone 4. That's what the true form was saying. But it's because I was essentially running with brakes on, like running with a sled behind me type thing. So that was awesome. But other than that, I mentioned I've been taking it easy, right? Trying to make my back better. And I feel a lot better. I just have not been lifting super heavy. I've been going really light on back squats. For the back squats I have been doing, I've only been doing box squats. And I completely off running other than the true form experience. I just mentioned to you guys because I was like, I kind of want to run today. So I did, but I've been on the bike. I definitely probably getting a little bit weaker and a little bit slower on the BCT for that goal, but my back is feeling a lot better right now. And I'm surprised because it's really only been about 2 weeks of this. And I'm not even 2 weeks. I mean, a week and a half or something like that. So I am going to ride it out the rest of the cycle of taking it easy. And I think, I don't know, I should be, if I've made this much progress in about 2 weeks, then I think I might be able to go full bore back to normal, which I was a little worried about because with back stuff, you never know if it's like, is this just a muscular thing or did I jack with a disc or compress something I shouldn't have? You never know how serious it's going to be. And that's always my concern with anything lower back related. So promising signs. All right, let's get into the study. I was really proud of these scientists who named their study. They start with, here's the name of the study. Is stronger better? Start with the question. And then it says influence of a strength phase followed by a hypertrophy phase on muscular adaptations in resistance trained men. So pretty cool. They try and pique your interest there. So the researchers, they took 26 lifters, split them into two groups, and had them train for 8 weeks. One group performed strength-focused training for 3 weeks, followed by hypertrophy-focused training for the remaining 5 weeks. The other group completed hypertrophy-focused training for the entire 8 weeks. So one group was doing a little bit of strength, followed by some muscle growth training. That's what hypertrophy is. For anyone who doesn't know, when we're saying hypertrophy a lot this episode, that's what it means. And the other group did hypertrophy-focused training only for 8 weeks. And the researchers, they wanted to see and they hypothesized that the combined training group would have greater muscle and strength gains than the hypertrophy group, which overall, and we can get into some of the training, how they did it and whatever, but the ultimate outcome was from their study said our results support the use of a period to increase muscle strength prior to an hypertrophy cycle to increase muscle thickness and maximum strength and resistance trained men. So what they're saying is they think that it's a good idea to have a little strength and then go into hypertrophy. And we can get into the exact results as far as percentages and what the real differences were, but I'll throw to you people first. So who's got what?
So one of the coolest things that I thought the study did that I think other studies should do is, so they tested them. It was an 8-week training protocol, but if I read it correctly, they had a 3 weeks before they started the pre-assessment to tell them to do some sort of like this sort of hypertrophy training. And then they started the study and their initial tests and then the post-study tests. So it wasn't like they just pulled people off the streets and it's like, yeah, okay, now you can lift our protocol and then look and see how much better you got after 8 weeks. They actually like had them do it for 3 weeks to actually prep the body. And it's like, okay, cool. Your body knows it's starting to do this now. Now we're going to test you. And then we're going to see what progresses in 8 weeks. I thought that was really, really cool and good to see. And I think more studies should start to do that versus like we talk about it all the time with untrained athletes that, well, yeah, they're going to get stronger because they don't do anything. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. And, strength is good. Strength is good.
Strength is good.
Strength
says
is
the
good.
strength track writer. There we go.
Yeah. Shocker. We typically do a lot of strength with the hypertrophy. So I mean, that's just, we're not necessarily always in the muscle building field, but this just kind of showed that it is good for everyone to do some sort of strength. But I don't have too much to say, so I'm gonna pass it on over to Kyle.
I think this just kind of proves that like strength is kind of a base for everything. I think strength is just always good. And no matter what it is that you're doing, you should be training strength. So even if you want to focus on hypertrophy, I don't think there's anything wrong with focusing on hypertrophy. But if you want to focus on hypertrophy, do some strength work too. Or maybe even do some strength work first and then focus on hypertrophy. But I think it also goes the other way as well, increasing your muscle size. So increasing hypertrophy is also going to increase your strength. You're going to get stronger by working on hypertrophy as well. So I think both of them work. I like what Joe brought up about how they did the study. They did like a 3-week period to familiarize people, but they were also using people. I think the lowest was like 4 years worth of training experience, like, or the average at least was like 4 years of training experience. So like these are people who know what they're doing anyway. So it's not just that they're spending a 3-week familiarization period, but it's people who are already familiar with this kind of training anyway. So that's what I liked seeing. It wasn't just people who are going from nothing and increasing, but they're people who probably already had a good amount of strength and a good amount of hypertrophy anyway, and they were still making increases. So that's what I took from it. I think strength is a base, and no matter what you're doing, you should be doing strength. Ashley, did I?
You stole one of mine, but
of
it's
your
okay.
points?
So I'm going to just double check. So they talked about how halfway through the strength and the combined group, I'll say, versus just the hypertrophy group, the combined group had more, like 4% more like strength and muscle growth than just the hypertrophy group, correct?
It was like 3.4% during weeks 4 to 8 and 1.4% more over the entire 8 weeks. Yeah.
So my thing is strength, obviously the combined group, the people who did strength and then hypertrophy had more muscle growth towards the end, but not like a crazy absurd amount. And not just the fact that, you know, I think strength should be a base and people should start there, but I also think you need to assess your goals, figure out what you want to do. Cause I think if you want to get stronger, then stick with training that is more strength based. Like, you know, if you're on our programming, you know, stick to the strength track. And if your goal is to use hypertrophy to probably lean up, tone up, you know, look jacked, if you will, shred is probably more your way to go. So at the end of the day, I said, just choose a program that fits your goals. But obviously strength was a positive here. But like I said, it wasn't like a huge difference in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I had a very similar takeaway that I wanted to highlight for the Garage Gym Athlete. So this study did prove that a little bit of strength training before hypertrophy training is marginally better, right? It's a little bit better, but overall not that much different. And I don't know how much it matters if you are cycling between the two, because it's like the chicken and egg argument. It's like, okay, it doesn't really matter, like, because you're going to be doing both, right? Like we're going to do some straight strength work, we're going to do some straight hypertrophy work, but you do need to know what your goal is. And I don't think that, let's just say most garage gym athletes, I'd say our more advanced garage gym athletes are very aware, but you do need to be aware of the difference between strength training and hypertrophy training. A lot of people think that they are kind of just the same thing, and they're not. They're very similar because weights are involved, barbells are involved and things, but they're very different. So if you're an athlete listening to this and you don't really know what you should be doing, if you want to look a certain way, you do want muscle growth, you want muscles to get bigger, then that's hypertrophy. You take a more bodybuilding style approach. And in this specific study, they're doing 4 sets of 8 to 12, you know, just the typical rep range for hypertrophy. And then if you want to just get stronger, in the protocol they used in this one was 4 sets of 1 to 3, then you just need to be lifting heavy. Now you can get a lot stronger without gaining muscle mass, and that's confusing for some people. So you can gain a lot of strength without any muscle mass. And likewise, you can gain a bunch of muscle mass and not be that strong. And that's why I always laugh when you see like bodybuilders who are really big and people think that they're like good fighters or you should be scared of this person. It's like, one, they're probably not actually that strong. Like, really, they're probably not that strong. And two, they don't know how to fight, and they can't even touch their back. Like, it's not like that important. So if you want to gain muscle, know how much and for what reasons, but they're not the same. They definitely do complement one another. I do think that when people run into a wall with strength, they need a little bit more hypertrophy. That's what I've coached athletes on for a long time. I think it also takes a very long time to max out your strength levels. But if you are hitting a wall, you might just need a little bit more muscle to then get stronger. So that's kind of my takeaway. Know your goal. Are you looking specifically for strength, or are you looking specifically for your muscles to look a certain way and be a certain size? Then go for hypertrophy. So kind of my takeaways for Garage Gym Athlete. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. The programming was straightforward. The study was straightforward, and nothing too tricky on this one.
Yeah, I think they could be used to complement each other, and depending on where you're at,
100%.
It's good to switch.
Switch it up.
Yeah. Especially on the strict press.
No, let's not talk about the strict press.
People run into walls with a strict press all the time. And
ring dips
mid rep.
Yeah. I mean, just the strict press is an interesting one because you're just using tiny muscles, and you also have tiny numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
triggered.
Yeah. The hashtag triggered.
No, it's everybody. Like if you're pressing 200 pounds or more, you're really freaking strong. And if you're pressing 95 pounds, there you go. If you're pressing 95 pounds and you want a 10-pound PR, that's absurd, right? That's 10%, right? Like that should take a long time. That's like equivalent of adding, like 40, 50 pounds to my back squat right now. Like that's
all you need.
A lot. Yeah. That's all I need. Right. But it's really hard to do. Right. That's really hard for me to get to that number. And that's the same with the strict press. So one, I think expectation management on the strict press is one thing, but another would just be actually hypertrophy on the deltoids, hypertrophy on the triceps, hypertrophy, all the surrounding areas that are going to help you press are a great way to get that strict press up in a relatively short amount of time.
It's amazing how heavy those 5-pound plates get when you throw them on a strict press.
You ain't wrong, bro. Or 2.5 pounds that equal 5 total pounds.
Yeah. This rep went up good. Put the 5s on it. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I love failing on a strict press. It's like
the worst.
There literally is like, there's a line in the sand. I don't know why. It's like, because it's normally pretty easy, you know, like and then, yeah, you go up that, you need 2.5s on each side.
Yep.
And then you
2.5s on
that
it.
it's like, not happening. It's not going up. So, yeah.
Strict press is the only time I use 2.5s because you just need those little increments.
Really?
You don't have change plates?
I
Like
refuse.
Ashley?
No.
Hey, I
Fractional
like
plates?
my fractional plates.
No. Also,
pound
fractional
counts.
plates don't count for PRs. Just saying.
I've gone from 95 to 97 one day.
So where does everyone stand on the usefulness of 35-pound plates then? Because I've heard this is a thing in the garage gym world.
I never use them.
Why? What?
I
mean,
have
I
them.
do.
I never use them.
What? You're
They're like the
35 pound
redheaded
plate?
stepchild of the plates community,
Why?
but
Yeah, fake
I don't mind
45s.
them. That's
Y'all
good.
are
Perfect
mean.
for certain things.
Well, apparently Coop, who does garage gym reviews, and Mark Ripito think 35s are useless. I use 35s all the time.
Same.
I don't know that. I wouldn't say that they're useless. I just say that I don't use them because, yeah, typically
doing,
I'm doing warm up, and if I have 25s on there for the warm up, then I'll just throw a 10
Out of
on.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add a 10 instead of taking the 25 off and getting a 35 and putting it on. I just take one step out and I just put a 10 on or something like that.
More efficient or lazy? No, I'm just
Or
kidding.
I'm moving from the 25s to the 45s, and so I just take the 25s off and put the 45s
That
on.
was a flex.
Flex.
Yeah, that was it's a good thing too, because he knew it was coming, which was what I was going to say. But now he flexed, so I don't have to say anything.
But I'm thinking like if we have like power cleans in a workout and I want to go higher than 85 pounds because I have a female barbell, or 95, 105, I'll do 105 for reps or something like that. You know, sometimes because it's like in between 95 and 125 when I put the 45s on a female barbell. So
I don't discriminate on any weight or weight plate. I have put 2.5s on for a back squat because that's a 5-pound PR.
Yeah, I use the 2.5s too. Like I don't just use them for strict press, but I don't know. I actually have my 35s sitting behind my 45s because on the
you never use them.
I never use them.
The anchors.
I don't have any fractional plates. I won't hate on them, but
I don't have the change plates either. So
I feel
Oh,
like
be
that
nice,
could be
be
like
nice.
a rounding error, or just like the gravity's different that day. You
Just
know what
put
I
on
mean?
2 clips.
I do
You
have
really
clips
put
on
on
top of it.
2.
We went to
2 on
Jerred's
each.
house and Jerred doesn't use clips. He only has one set.
Yeah, my clips pretty much stay on my reverse hyper, so I don't use clips for anything else. Is that dangerous?
it would bother
Yeah.
me in pounds if the pounds don't end in a 0 or a 5. Like if I was lifting with kg plates, that would be fine. But like
What's kg plates?
kilogram plates.
Kilogram.
Just joking.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, some people out there may not have known what I meant by kg plates. So yeah, you're right. Okay.
Killer gorilla.
It's a bram.
You know why we don't lift in kilograms?
Kilogram.
Because we wanted to be different.
Because we're in America.
Because we won World War II.
Oh.
God. And there goes the viewers.
Back-to-back
Yes.
champs. All right, moving on.
We weren't doing very well in Germany anyway.
All right.
Now that
Okay.
we've offended so many people, let's move
Yeah.
on.
Okay. So what's the topic?
Jared, let's have you explain the topic because apparently you didn't realize what it was earlier.
I prepped for a different topic, so I just want to make sure
Yeah,
I have
you
now.
tell us. Yeah,
Well, then you guys all have to go on the fly
that's
instead
true.
of me. So
Yeah, Joe, don't set us up for failure here.
I think it'll be fun. Okay, what is the best advice we have received about fitness? So received from somebody else. So I know Jared always asks everybody, what's the best advice they have, would give to people out there, whatever. But, in our own fitness journey, what is the best advice we have received, been given, bequeathed, whatever. And I'm going to go with mobility on mine. And the reason why
all right.
yeah, the reason why I am for mobility is why I've actually gotten really good at mobility is because mobility has sucked in the past, and it's been out of necessity. So it's not like I've gone out there and be like, yeah, I want to learn about mobility. It's been, hey, all of these things hurt and I can't reach above my head, so help me, person. And then they put me through a lot of pain, and then I learned. So mobility has been really great because of, range of motion, pains and anything like that, and then being able to help out athletes. Also, whenever mobility is it's a crazy thing because a lot of times when you think something hurts, that's not what you actually need to work on. And just learning how, I never took any biology classes or anatomy in college, so I don't really know how the body works in those ways. But learning how, when going through mobility and stuff, it also helps you with lifting as well, for how you move and how things are affected, how you can improve, and prehabbing and rehabbing any sort of issues. So I think it has been really helpful for, before, during, and after workouts, learning mobility, and then now being able to help people who have limitations with, like, their front rack. A lot of people have issues with their front rack, and be able to help people with that, or, squats and things of that nature. So I think mobility, just learning how to go through that. And I guess isn't like one piece of advice that I was told that, changed everything. It was just learning and about mobility and how best to go about it, and, pairing stability with mobility and all those things that whole encompass that. So mobility for me. Ashley, what do you got?
So I had a coach. He was actually a CrossFit coach at the time. He has now since quit CrossFit, and I think he still does Olympic lifting. His name is Brent Ragsdale. So if you're listening, Brent, this is from you. He told me, because I drank the CrossFit Kool-Aid, right? So I would get this like hot head of, man, I've kind of made it. I can do everything at RX and yada, yada, yada. And his advice to me was never stop learning. You don't know everything, and you never will. And I think you can apply that with not just your training. Like, I think that's just great life advice. There's so much to learn out there and do. And I think I even said this when you guys interviewed me for the very first athlete interview, and I'm sticking to it because I think that you can learn new movements, you can learn all sorts of stuff while you're training, but then like in life as well, I think you can learn all sorts of lessons and apply them to, everything. So I kind of went a little bit outside of the box there, and not just about training, but that's my advice. Kyle, what is yours?
So I don't want it to sound like I'm just sucking up to my boss, but the two best pieces of fitness advice that I've ever had both came from Jerred. So the first one was the article that I read that actually brought me to Garage Gym Athlete in the first place, which was 7 ways to train alone and actually push yourself. And the specific piece of advice in that article was basically put your money where your mouth is. In other words, invest money in your training, invest something in your training, and make it something that's substantial enough that you're going to notice it, that you're going to notice that investment. That specifically for me, it was investing money that was literally coming out of my bank account every month, invest it, instead of just sticking to the free stuff. Because the free stuff, I tried basically all the free stuff that I could find, and none of it stuck. And it's because it wasn't hurting. Like, it wasn't something that I was actually having to invest in. It was just free. It was just there. And there was really no accountability whatsoever towards whether I actually did it or not. And so once I started actually investing in my programming and investing actual money in my fitness, which at the time was, a little bit more of my budget than it is now. But at the time, it was something that I actually noticed coming out. of my account every month. And so that was the first thing, was actually invest something that's going to build in that accountability, something that's going to make it hurt a little bit to actually follow through on it. And then the second one was like during coaching, in that first year that I was an athlete, was we talked about cheat meals on your diet. And this one just like completely changed the way that I look at nutrition and understanding what cheating is. First of all, just stop using the phrase cheat meal. Like, just don't use it, because it's not really helpful at all. But if you do want to use the phrase, then understand what cheating actually is. Cheating is something that gives you an advantage over your competition. Even though it's against the rules, it's something that helps you and something that helps you win. And it gives you an advantage. And so typically what people are talking about when they're talking about a cheat meal is something that is off of their diet plan, right? It's off of their nutrition plan. So it's typically something like, for me, it would be like Oreos, right? And I won't talk about how many of them that I can eat at once, but something like that is what people are talking about with a cheat meal most of the time. But eating a bunch of Oreos is not giving you an advantage. It's not helping you. It's not progressing you forward. It's not giving you an advantage over your, it's not helping you win. And so it can't be a cheat meal if it's not helping you get better, faster, or giving you an advantage over the competition. So really, a cheat meal is actually eating healthy. A cheat meal is actually something that's helping you feel better, operate better. It's helping you, it's supporting your training. It's doing all those are actual cheat meals. And so really, that's what's giving you an advantage over other people, and especially giving you an advantage over the old version of yourself that was slow and sick and just not doing really well. So just kind of flipping the script on the whole cheat meal thing. But the biggest piece of that is just like, stop saying cheat meal, but understand that if you're going to use it, understand what a cheat meal actually is. So those are the two biggest pieces, that best pieces of fitness advice that I've ever gotten. So Jerred, thank you for those pieces of advice.
Well, I kind of went a little outside the box with mine as well. With, you learn, I learned in the military as a leader that you learn a lot more from the people who suck than you do the people who are awesome. Like when you have like a commander or somebody who's just really taking care of their people and doing really well and everything's running smoothly, you don't really notice so much when someone's doing awesome, to be honest. Like you might notice things here and there, but if things are just kind of running as a well-oiled machine and you are part of that well-oiled machine, you just feel like things are going as they should. So it takes perspective at times to get like a really crappy leader to realize, holy crap, things can be a lot worse when someone is not doing what they're supposed to, when they don't care about people. And, this is more of a leadership lesson that I got from the military. But anytime I would encounter a boss or a leader who I was just like, man, this person is a piece of crap. Like they don't know anything. They don't care about anybody. Like you learn a lot from those. And so I always learned a lot more from a leadership perspective from people who sucked. And I'd be like, wow, yeah, I don't want to be that way when I get into your position. And so my best advice is not really necessarily advice, but I've mentioned before my uncle who got me into fitness in the first place, like a long time ago. He got me into fitness, told me I was too skinny and I needed to work out, whatever. I followed all his advice. He's the reason I'm sitting right here right now because of how much I got into fitness under his direction. But I would say, I don't know, maybe 10 years into my fitness journey, he's not necessarily at the end of his journey, but he's, older and he's getting shoulder surgeries and hip replacements and all these things because he was a hardcore power lifter, hardcore meathead. And so it has nothing to do with his leadership. Let me just like go, right around that. But he loved strength training so much. But now it's not really something that he can do. And he's not that into anymore. He's still like trying to do things here and there, but he's severely broken. And we've seen, if you've seen that, I can't recall the name of the documentary, but the one with Ronnie Coleman, right? Very similar story to my uncle. And so those were, my uncle specifically was like, that was a huge eye opener for me a long time ago, because I was like, I'm on the same path as him. so I was kind of learning what not to do. And I'm a lot less hardcore than I used to be. And it's kind of intentional. I'm not trying to break my body every time I go into the gym. And while I am trying to potentially squat 500 pounds, I'm trying to do it in a very safe way. Like my back start hurting and I'm like, I'm out, I'm taking everything off, taking everything back. And if my back doesn't snap back, I'll be done. You know what I mean? Like these are easy decisions for me. I'm not a professional athlete who needs to train through the pain, but I didn't used to have this mindset. My old mindset was just crush everything, rub some dirt on it. Like you'll be fine, walk it off type thing. But it's all, you only have one body. And if you break it or you end up with some chronic pain, you're going to have it for the rest of your life. You can do a lot of things to work around it, but I don't want to be limited in any capacity. I only want my fitness at this point in my life to, be able to facilitate the things that I want to do, with my kids and out in the world. And I like being in above average shape, but I don't have any desire to be competitive. I think that if you look at elite, let's look at Matt Fraser just retired from the CrossFit Games. The dude's like 30, right? Maybe 31. I don't know. I don't actually know his age, but I know he's not very old. Froning retired from individual competition, very similar. I think he was like 30, 31. That is a short life cycle. And it just shows you, those guys can say whatever the hell they want about why they're not doing it anymore. But I think that they know what I know. And that it's, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're not going to have much body left when you're 45, when you're 55. And so I think everyone has to go through this and you learn it. But that's been my biggest takeaway, is just watching other people, seeing how broken they get doing the things that they love. But it happens to NFL athletes. It happens to endurance athletes. So that's not, even though I like to take shots at CrossFit, that's not a shot at CrossFit. It happens to a lot of different people in every sport. So that's my best advice, is to not be so hardcore. Now, the actual best advice I've ever received from a coach was in Olympic lifting. I hit a PR on the snatch and that felt really kind of like easy and effortless. And he was like, "You're done for the day." And I was like, "Why?" I was like, I feel like I could go more. And he's like, "Nope, you hit a PR. Today's done. You can train again tomorrow." And that, again, my more hardcore mentality was like, let's go more. Let's find out where that failure breaking point is. But he didn't want me to. And I thought that was really, really good advice. That wasn't typical of my mindset at that time. And that was like direct advice as opposed to the kind of workaround advice I was talking about before. So yeah, that's kind of my biggest advice I've gotten. That's probably helped me not be in pain. Right.
Don't end on a failed rep. End on a good rep, not on a failed rep.
Yeah. But see, even I still argue that in my brain, because I'm like, I would be fine. I'd be fine. I'm fine with failure and then try again the next day. But I get it, though. I do think that Olympic lifting is like golf and all these other skilled sports where if you get in your head, you're screwed.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. You get in your head, you're screwed. So you it has to be effortless.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna, take off fives and put on fractional plates just so I can get a last rep in.
Okay, I never
That's where
did
the
that
that's
for
where the hatred of
snatches.
the
Not going to use the 35s either, dadgummit.
Wow. Wow. What? I use the 35s for my snatch.
I have to use 35s all the time. That's my take on 35s.
My 1 rep max snatch back in the day was like 120 pounds. So definitely had 35s plus a 5 and 2.5.
I don't even know where I should go look at my 1 rep maxes. See, I don't know my 1 rep maxes in any reality. Like I may have just
I have them in journals.
I may have PR'd my back squat, but the reason it's like, why don't you know? It's because there was a time period in my life where I was in that bodybuilding only strength training world. And I have old journals that say I squatted like 470 and like was doing 405 for like 10 reps and all sorts of crazy junk. But I also think my range of motion was pretty piss poor back then. So I don't know if I can even count any of those numbers from back in the day. I feel like it was like a 470 squat, quarter squat, and then go back up, right? Like it wasn't like a real movement. So that's why I don't know what my PRs are. Like my
Years
press,
of no reps.
my press ability used to be
Bro reps.
like stupid, but I don't think I was like I was
Man.
doing it right.
I just thought thinking of that. There's I don't know if you know if I should say this, but yeah, whatever. I've already started. There's a
Go for
guy
it.
at
There we go.
our gym. There's a guy at our gym that works out that I have dubbed Half Rep Harry because everything he does is half rep.
There was a girl like that at Lake and Heath at the gym, and she'd like widen her stance, and she'd of course have the like padded barbell, and she just load
has
that
one of those.
sucker. Just
I do not have a padded barbell.
beer.
I don't know why you're in my brain that you have that.
I never have had one. Never.
It's probably like the third time I've called you out on the podcast about it too.
Yeah. And it's
Not
it's
true.
never existed.
Because Jared's been to your gym, right?
I know,
Dude.
right?
I feel like
The buddy of mine
something
whose
happened.
garage I worked out in when I first started,
Oh,
he had a pad in his gym and he would use it sometimes, but I never used it ever.
yeah, I think you maybe just mentioned it when you're like, "What are your thoughts on these pads for bars?" And I was like, "What'd you just say?" You're like, no,
mean
I'm not
traps?
using it. It's just in there.
It's
I'm wondering
in
why
there.
he has it.
I thought it was weird that it was there. Like, no.
Oh, good tangents. These are great. They're all on topic though, relatively.
Yeah.
Help us.
So we're gonna get into the Sally's Revenge. Who wants to take this one?
I got
I
it.
have it.
Okay.
No, you
Cool.
got it.
It's always either 0 or 2 people have it, never just one.
0
okay.
or 2 is right.
Yeah. All right. So Sally's Revenge. So it's going to start off with 1 mile run. Then right when you get back from that mile, you're going to load up the song. Wait, I got it. Flower by Moby.
Woo! Look at you.
There
You
you
can
go.
Google Bring Sally Up if you want to. You'll find something.
Yeah, it'll probably be other people doing like squats to it, but you're going to bring up that song and you're going to do Sally Up pull-ups to that song, which is extremely hard. Then you're going to rest for 3 minutes. Then you're going to start that song over and do Sally Up push-ups. Then you're going to rest 3 minutes, and then you're going to start that song over again and do Sally Up squats. And then right when you're done your squats of that song, you're going to go and run another mile. And for the extreme completionists, you should just listen to that song during the miles too, because it'll make you finish that last mile faster because you just want to be done with that song.
Is there a weight recommendation on the squat? I thought
There
I thought it was
is.
yeah. You just
45
said-
to 65
yeah.
for
You can take everything.
recruits were body weight, no weight, obviously. 45 to 65, and then 95 to 125 for competitor level.
135.
35, sorry.
Yeah.
I think 25 because female barbell. My bad.
Yeah, we're not putting.
This is
35s
what
on
happens
our
when you use 35-pound plates.
Shut up.
You can't math right.
I have a 35-pound barbell, you jerk.
It is a lot harder to add those, but yeah.
Anyways, that was one of my points. I said I only listen to the flower song the entire workout. And that's what I did. But I like this one because it exposes the areas that you need to work on. Like for me, it's always push-ups. I don't know why push-ups get me. I love to bench, but I'm not a great push-upper. Anyways, so try to keep that core tight. Try to really work on that form because it's just going to obviously make you better. So if you need to scale down and get down on your knees because you're doing things wrong, that's okay. Like, man up and do it that way. Same thing with the squats. Check your weight on that, man. It's going to get spicy real quick. And if you can't do 95 pounds for that entire thing, like you're going to dump the weight and not be able to complete the whole thing. So try to stick with a weight that you can complete the entire thing in. And I think this is where the mental part comes in. Your body is going to be like, this sucks. Just keep going. It's going to be okay. Your legs are going to be on fire afterwards. And that second mile is going to be quite dicey, but that's all right.
Yeah, so those squats are pause squats, by the way.
Yes. You're holding
You're
at the bottom.
Very
holding it.
long
Okay.
pause.
So when he says green Sally down and you go down with the squat, you have to stay there until he says green Sally up.
It's
So-
bring. Let's not pretend like
Is
we
it
know
bring?
the real lyrics to the song. No, I think you're
I
right.
don't-
But
I'm
I
like,
don't
it's
know.
flour. It's not.
I don't know what it is.
I'm pretty sure.
Anyway,
It's
when he
green,
says go
but-
down, you go
We
down
hear
and
what
you
we
stay
want.
down until he says to come back up. So just keep in mind that factor that in when you're picking your weight for the squats, that you're doing pause squats. You're going to be doing pause squats for like a little over 3 minutes. So just be mindful. And yeah, I would reiterate what Ashley said, mind your squat form. So just because you're going to have to leave them from those squats and go run a mile immediately. You don't have a rest period after the squats. So, and just minding your squat form is just something you should be doing anyway. So especially if you're using weight, if you're using any of the weight, then make sure that you're minding your squat form.
I would also challenge you, because you talked about pause squats. If you're at the bottom of it, don't just bottom out and be lazy down there.
Yep.
Like actually, you know
Stay
what
activated.
I'm saying? Yes.
Yep. And this is the only Moby song that I've ever listened to. And
Same.
I only listened to it during this workout and
You've
never
heard others on accident.
ever again. I probably have heard others on accident, and I just didn't know it was him. But, okay.
Did you go, Joe?
I mean, I briefed it. I don't really have anything.
We don't need anything else from him.
Doesn't seem like you want to go either. Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. Run the miles fast, as fast as you possibly can. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this might be the hardest Meet Yourself Saturday workout.
What?
To complete fully, because the pull-ups.
To do it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are taking breaks and not actually able to do it, and that's fine.
Oh,
it's a hard workout, but I think this might actually be the hardest one to do over any other one.
Yep.
And I've done this one and it's the worst. That's why I say it. I hate this workout with a passion. So that means I need to do it. I need to do it when it's programmed. So I'll do it this week.
So you're saying with the pull-ups, are you hanging when it says green Sally down?
Yeah, hanging at the bottom. And I probably cannot do that right now. I have to be in my Murph shape. I'm not in my Murph shape right now. All Murph shape is doing lots of freaking pull-ups every single week. And I'm not doing as many right now. So yeah, that's hanging from the bar at the bottom, chin over the bar at the top.
Right.
That's really crappy. The push-ups aren't as hard if you do them by, if you were to just do it to the song by itself, not that big of a deal. But after your arms are completely blown out from the pull-ups, moving to the push-ups, because I thought that part was going to be easy. I'm like, okay, this is going to kind of be a break. And it was so challenging. The push-ups were awful. And then 135 is what I decided I thought I could handle on the squats, and just the worst. So yeah, it's a horrible workout from start to finish. If you can do every single bit without taking any breaks, then we should probably just have a patch for this workout.
Yeah. The Sally patch.
Yeah, the Sally patch. This one's pretty crazy. But my advice is, I think Ashley mentioned just picking the right weights and stuff. And I would say movements too for your sub. So there's probably, I don't know, 5 or less people who could do the pull-up version of this in the community right now. And I'd only say that because if maybe Chris Morgan, because he's doing 16 Murphs a week or whatever. So anyone who's doing a lot of pull-ups on a regular basis, you might be able to do this. And I know Ryan Caswell is really good at pull-ups too. So I would challenge you guys to give it a shot to see if you can do it for the full song. But otherwise you're going to have to scale down. And so ring rows, and then even with the ring rows, choose the right level of ring row, right? Because there's feet on the bench, which is the hardest version of the ring row. And then you can have 45-degree angle, 30-degree angle, wherever you want to make it the most challenging. So just pick the right one and stick to it. Don't start with rows on a bench and then make it easier and easier. I'm going to put my feet on the ground. I'm going to go up to 45, up higher and higher. So just pick the right sub from the start. And then with the push-ups, I go to your knees if you have to. Just don't take breaks. Don't stop doing the work is what I'm trying to get across. Yep. Don't stop doing the work. Most of you, everyone listening, most of you, 95% probably shouldn't touch a barbell on the squats. And if you are, it's going to be an empty barbell. The only reason I did 135 is because I've done it a lot. I've done the Sally up with squats a lot. I've done it I've done it 2 minutes in a row with 135 and actually completed it, or the song twice in a row with 135 and completed it. Like I had done this a lot. And especially when I was in the military, I made my airmen do it almost like every training day, like as a warm up with squats. So we just did this a lot. So I was very accustomed to it. And then I started doing it with weight. And so I had worked up to it, but it's not something I recommend. So pick the weight, maybe a vest, maybe an empty barbell, or just body weight only, but just pick the right level for you, and no ego on this one, no matter. It's a very challenging one.
Dude, you pulled straight up Jason Khalipa. Went nuts.
He did it with 225, I think.
Yeah,
So,
and Miranda Aldroy did it with 135. I was like, good gracious.
Yeah, I had better muscular endurance. So I just did 135 twice, but that's a long time.
It is a long time.
Yeah. All right. Has the podcast reached its natural conclusion?
Or
think
zenith?
so.
I think so.
All right, cool.
Talk
You
about
and
our
your words
sponsors
today.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm just full of vocabulary.
Lord.
It's that word of the day toilet paper I got you.
That's it. And I did go a few times today, so it was very helpful.
Yeah. All right. Well, if
That's all we're getting out of that.
if you like this,
Believe it.
if you like this crew right here,
Oh no.
we could be fully responsible for your programming and fitness needs. So go to garagegymathlete.com and sign up for that free trial. Now, every athlete out there who is already a member, we really do appreciate you listening to the podcast, being part of the community, which again, the best part of what we do is the community. It's like a fine wine. It's getting better with age. You'd think it would get worse, but it's just getting better and better. So the community is awesome. If you want to join and be a part of a very supportive and positive community, perhaps the only one on Facebook, honestly, it might be the only one. We've had people say that. I'm not the first to make the claim. We've had people in the community say, hey, this is the only place on Facebook where it doesn't suck. And that might be true. So yeah, join us. And if you are on the fence, you've been thinking about, are these guys crazy? Did the workouts, are they too hard? You can figure it all out for 14 days for free. Like I said, garagegymathlete.com, sign up for that free trial and you'll be good to go. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.